Don't fall for the trap. Don't assume that everyone who is married or who is in a relationship is happy. I think it's cruel when someone asks, why aren't you married? When are you getting married? Especially when they ask a woman that. You're basically implying that woman is lacking something. If you want something, it's going to happen, but it's going to happen in its own divine timing. So this video in particular is for anyone who is waiting to get married because they're waiting to find the right person. They're taking their time, but unfortunately, society, family, friends are just pressuring them to make this decision. And so if you're someone out there who just wants to wait for that right person and really wants to make this decision wisely, I hope this video can comfort you and make you feel less alone, because in a world where people are rushing to get married, to kind of prove something to themselves, to prove something to society, it can be a big pressure on yourself to also want to run to this imaginary finish line that we've created for ourselves. And so I hope this video can provide you comfort, can make you feel less alone. And basically, I just want to talk about a few lessons that I've learned when it comes to love after being someone who's been married in her 20s, divorced in her 20s, and now I'm 30 years old and I feel so much more confident than ever. I feel so confident about love as well. And there's obviously so much more to learn, but I want to share with you some things that I've learned so far. So as usual, grab your coffee, grab your tea. I have this vanilla latte that I made. It's so good. So lesson number 1 that I've learned is true love for someone else takes radical honesty. And for all intents and purposes of this video, I'm going to equate true love with marriage, right? Because usually those go hand in hand nowadays in our society. It's going to shock you guys when I say this, and I say this pretty confidently. I think a vast majority of marriages these days are not rooted in true love. They're rooted in attachment. And what I mean by that is a lot of us have this void within us because we weren't loved properly growing up. And it's not to blame our parents. Obviously, they loved us to the capacity that they could. When you aren't loved properly when you're growing up, you start to develop this void within you. And a lot of us don't learn that love is something that you can cultivate within yourself. Because we have this void, we keep looking in others around us to fill it. And so what ends up happening is we develop relationships that are rooted in attachment. They're rooted in a need rather than a want. You need to get love from this other person, otherwise you wouldn't feel whole. So that leads to a relationship that is based in attachment and not true love. Oftentimes people stay in relationships that make them feel small, that weren't even meant for them, because the alternative of being alone and finally facing yourself is much more scarier than just staying in that relationship in your comfort zone. And so that's what I mean by a vast majority of relationships nowadays are not based in true love. And people are just kind of lying to themselves. And so things can look so picture perfect from the outside, but if those individuals separately have not done the work, have not done the healing, and they come together, it really becomes this attachment that honestly, in my opinion, it's not a fun relationship to have. The best kind of relationship is when two people are completely whole on their own, when they are on their own separate paths to self-discovery, to finding a connection with God, with the divine source, and then they meet each other on that path and they only expand one another and they only help each other grow more, right? Like they're not taking from each other. They don't need anything from one another because they already have it within themselves. They just add on to each other's lives and experience joy and beauty and love together. And they know that even without one another, they will totally be fine. Like their life will still resume because they don't need each other. So yeah, it takes being radically honest with yourself. Do you actually love the person you're with, or do you just like the idea of being married? Do you just like the idea of finding someone? And it takes being really honest with your values as well. I feel like a lot of us don't even think about, what do we actually want? Like, what kind of life do you want to cultivate? What matters to you? That is so important, because a lot of times we just kind of shrug away our values, we dismiss them just to be with someone, just so that we're not alone. I see this unfortunately happen so many times where clearly, there's misalignment in values in that relationship, but neither of them are willing to part ways because They'd rather just, stick it out in this miserable relationship than stand up for their values. I knew in my past relationship that our values didn't align, but I was not willing to be honest with myself. And because of that, I stayed in a relationship that kept me very small out of fear, right? Like it takes courage, it takes bravery to actually admit that this relationship is not fitting you. And maybe it never did. And maybe you just kind of stayed because that's all you knew. And so you stay small in relationships that literally don't serve you, that only harm you. Marriage is not just something that like you boast about on Instagram and, flaunt about on a wedding stage. It often becomes this like milestone that we all are trying to achieve, right? Like alongside getting a degree, buying a house, getting married is another accomplishment. But this is not something to own. This is not just like something to check off of a checklist. Marriage is arguably one of the most important decisions you'll ever make in your life. This person is going to go through every season of life with you, through all the ups and downs, through all the hardships, through all the good times. This is the person that's going to literally determine the outcome of your life. If you do this right, if you do this properly and you take your time, you could set yourself up for the most beautiful life where you feel supported, where you feel taken care of, where you feel in partnership, where you're discovering the beauty and joys of life. But if you rush into this, if you do it out of scarcity, if you make a decision out of lack because you don't think you're going to find something better, you're setting yourself up for possibly a very miserable life where this person's going to cause more problems in your life, more friction in your life, where you could start developing health problems because of the chronic stress that adds up. This person could actually shorten your lifespan. So no, this is not something that we should be pressured by society to rush into. I don't care if you're like 37 and still not married. Take your time. I'd rather be alone for the rest of my life than force myself to be in a relationship that keeps me small. We're lucky enough as women where we're independent now, where we don't need to be married to survive. We don't get married nowadays because we need to. We get married because we want to. So hopefully by now you've taken the time to really sit and reflect on what is it that makes life meaningful to you. And if you haven't done that, then I highly recommend doing that because my girl, that is step one. That is step one. You want to make sure you're like journaling, reflecting, what is it that you want? And how much of a blessing is that? Like you get to choose what kind of life you want to live because the partner that you want, they better only be expanding this kind of life that you want. So many women settle in a relationship and they're not even living the life they want simply so that they can just be married. But marriage is not the goal. Marriage just kind of helps create the life that you want. In my past relationship, I honestly didn't really know my values because I got in that relationship so young. Hence why I think it's so important not to rush this. Like you should really know who you are and what you value before you get married, right? So when you don't know that, you're just kind of like willing to do whatever, like even if it costs you your values. Living according to your values is arguably the most important thing to do. And I'm not even talking about relationships. I'm talking about like the life that you live. It should be in alignment with you, with who you are as much as possible. And we see this all the time, right? Like people often are in jobs that don't align with them. Like they're just in it just to make money, but they don't truly feel fulfilled. And it slowly chips away at you. And that's exactly what can happen in relationships. When you rush into something, when you're just like trying not to be alone, you kind of force yourself to be with someone that you don't even feel aligned with. And your body is actually keeping score of all this. There is a cost to suppressing your emotions. There is a cost to not living in alignment with yourself. And eventually that shows up in the body and manifests as autoimmune conditions, as certain cancers as well. There's a reason why a majority of autoimmune conditions affects women mainly. It's because over time we've been taught to suppress our values, to suppress our emotions. If you want to do more research about this, you should definitely check out Dr. Gaber Mate. He talks about this so much. As soon as I left that relationship and I finally felt aligned with myself, my body rewarded me. I was so shocked because I didn't even have like a skincare regimen. I wasn't even thinking about my hair, but my hair grew so long, like the fastest it's ever been. My skin was clearing, it was glowing, and I actually was developing an autoimmune condition. Without any medication, it completely reversed. This is the reward of living a life in alignment with yourself. And it's just so funny because we always try to like meddle with our bodies, like taking supplements and doing beauty procedures, when really the best thing is to just get out of your own way and your body will naturally just become like the most beautiful version of itself. That's how important it is to live in honesty with yourself, and naturally you will attract the people that are meant for you. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about self-love because I think it's so important. Self-love is not taking bubble baths, eating chocolate, watching movies, getting your nails done. That is maybe self-pampering. But self-love is choosing to love yourself even on days where you don't like what you're looking at in the mirror. Choosing to love yourself even when you're not proud that you didn't accomplish a lot that day. It's the ability to embrace all parts of yourself. It's the ability to want to improve, but still hold space for the version that you currently are. It's acknowledging your fears and yet choosing to act on your deepest desires anyways, because you believe so much in yourself. You believe in your vision so much that you're able to take risks, that you're able to bet on yourself. The most important thing that I've learned about self-love is to understand that no matter what happens in life, you will always have that safety net of falling back onto yourself. I don't need a backup plan. I'm my backup plan. I know that if anything happens, like worst case scenario, the worst things could happen in life, that I will still have myself. I will still have my consciousness. True self-love is understanding that there's really no such thing as being alone because your greatest companion has been there all along. When you develop love for yourself, you stop acting in desperation. And so when you do try to get into a relationship, you know that you're doing it with the best intentions in mind. You're not looking for someone because you need them. Like you can't stand being alone forever, and so you need to do it. You're looking for a partner because it would be nice. It would be cool, right? But if it doesn't happen, even if it doesn't happen, you're fine. I think a lot of people get it mixed up and they think that being alone is the worst thing in life. I think being in a relationship where you're unhappy is the worst thing in life. It's really sad how much we romanticize being in a relationship without emphasizing that it takes work and it takes a lot of discovering yourself before you could rope someone into your life. And obviously, I'm not claiming that you have to be fully healed before you get into a relationship. I don't think there's even a such thing as being fully healed. I think doing some basic work would be nice before you get into a relationship, like figuring out your values, what do you want in life, what kind of partner do you want, and sticking with that, right? Like don't bend your values for someone else. If you know that something is really, really important for you, don't sacrifice that for someone else because you're not doing them any favors. It eventually is going to come out. Like let's say, for example, you want kids and that person doesn't. Are you really going to sacrifice your dream of having kids just so you don't be alone forever? That's not fair. And you're going to resent that person for the rest of your life because they kind of took away something from you. Don't fall for the illusion, guys. Don't fall for the trap. Don't assume that everyone who is married or who is in a relationship is happy. That is so false. And I could confidently say that as someone who was married. And I know that there were probably people out there who looked at my relationship and thought that I had it all. You never know what's going on the inside. You don't. You should not think any less of yourself just because you're alone. You should be very, very proud that you are sticking with your values, that you have faith, that if you want something, it's going to happen, but it's going to happen in its own divine timing. And honestly, I think it's cruel. I think it's cruel when someone asks, why aren't you married? When are you getting married? Especially when they ask a woman that, because you're basically implying that that woman is lacking something, that she's incomplete, that she's not whole on her own. And that's not true. You could totally be a whole, complete individual on your own. And when you ask someone why they aren't married yet, you're basically implying that they're lacking something, that they're behind in life. When in reality, that person is just being faithful to their standards. They know that things will happen in their own time when it's meant for them. They know that their journey is going to look different than other people. We don't always have to get married in our 20s, have kids by this age, get a house by this age. Everyone has their own life path. So if you are someone who's, kind of questioned another person for why they aren't married yet, I would really, really urge you to hold back and reflect. Why are you asking that? Is it because you yourself think that marriage equals validation? That marriage implies that now you finally won at life? Marriage is a divine union between two people. It's something that's so beautiful. And if we get the chance to experience it, it should be treated with respect. It shouldn't be forced on other people. You are a whole, complete person as you are. You don't need marriage to define you. You don't need marriage to get freedom, to get peace, to get joy. So yeah, that was a long video. If this even helps one person out there who's just like doubting themselves and you feel kind of this pressure and urgency to get married, take a deep breath. You have time. Enjoy your life. Understand that whatever is meant for you will never miss you. No matter what you try to do, it will not miss you. The best way to find true love is to find it within yourself first and be on that journey. And eventually you will cross paths with someone who's also on that journey. And that, I think, is the best way to find true love that's sustainable, that's healthy, that's beautiful. No more lack mindset, no more scarcity mindset. There's more than enough people who are on this path. Not all men are bad. You'll definitely find it when you're least expecting it. So I hope this video helps. If you like more of these, definitely make sure to subscribe. Also in the description below, I will link my Substack where I have the correlating Substack article to this video. And if you guys are like big readers, which I think you would be if you're on this video because you're naturally just like really smart, beautiful, and introspective, follow me on Substack, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.